My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
The plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC technicians of Local 502's commitment to excellence can be seen in our community every day. The KFC Yum Center, Ford Motor Company, and the Omni Hotel are just a few examples of their professional craftsmanship. Local 502 has been part of our community for over a century and invests over $1 million annually training skilled local workers. Members of Local 502 are your
page not having the sound on, so off to a hot start. Stephen Peak, how are you? It should be work.
There we go.
Okay.
There you go. Just had to tap it a few times. Yeah, this is weird. It's weird you being in there. We're separated by these concrete walls. So, just like any other Monday, though, in different rooms doing the show. Maybe a little bit easier today. Sometimes, TJ, when I'm in Lexington for media stuff and then having to do it from there, I can't hear you that well. So I was excited that I was going to get to be in studio today because it is nice when we're doing a talk show to be able to hear the host talk. So that's going to be helpful.
That will be helpful, no doubt about it. I'm going to just be a little rusty on the producing side of things. If you notice something that is not right with the YouTube stream or with the broadcast, and just fingers crossed on the podcast, folks. Just fingers crossed on that. Just let me know. I'll get it figured out. We'll get it all right. It just may take me a little time to shake off some of the rust, Stephen Peak.
Yeah, no, I see. We got the YouTube stream up. We got Corey Price in the bottom left corner there.
He's always watching.
I like having a Corey Price looking at me as I look up at the screen. So that's cool. I love that. And the volleyball stuff down there. We got some volleyball stuff to talk about today if we want to. I watched some volleyball that didn't even involve Kentucky yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is. That's a credit to Craig Skinner and what he's done with Kentucky volleyball, because otherwise I don't think I would care about what Texas A&M and Nebraska volleyball were doing on a Sunday afternoon. But I was into that. I don't know. Did you watch any of that?
Not that. I watched a little UK, though.
Well, they didn't play yesterday.
Well, over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah. No, but they played over the weekend. They're going to play this weekend too. And
back to the Final Four for Craig Skinner.
Yeah, they were sending Jacob Polachek to St. Louis, Missouri? Is that where it's at?
I think Kansas City.
Yeah, it's one of those. And so, yeah, he's going there to cover the volleyball team as they try to get another national title. Man, like, I know I didn't expect to, like, ever open a show talking about Kentucky volleyball, but Slacks put out a tweet last night, Kentucky football's SID, and she was just basically saying that, you know, thinking about everything Craig Skinner has done for this sport, and she's absolutely correct about that. There's zero chance I'm tuning in to any women's volleyball tournaments if it wasn't for what Craig Skinner has done at the University of Kentucky. It is so impressive. They're now the top seed. They're the favorites to win it at this point. They have to be, right, TJ? I mean, I think they're are they the only one seed left? Or they're the highest seed left.
Didn't Pittsburgh sweep them?
They reverse swept them. So Kentucky was up 2-0 and then lost 3-2.
To Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
I thought Pittsburgh just good old-fashioned 3-0 gave them good old-fashioned 3-0.
Maybe you're right. I can look that up for you real fast.
That being said, from like a seeding standpoint, they are the highest remaining seed. Nebraska was the number 1 overall seed. They were the number 2 overall seed. And if Vegas probably has odds on it somewhere, you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime, somewhere. So I would guess that they probably are.
No, you're right. You're right. My bad. They did sweep them. You're correct.
Yeah, I think it was just a good old, and I don't think it was at Pittsburgh. I think it was just in like Texas or some random site.
Fort
or
Worth,
something
Texas.
Like that.
I didn't realize how tuned in you were to Kentucky volleyball.
I keep up with UK athletics. You don't get the sports talker name Stephen Peak just by watching documentaries all day. But that's going to be tough. But that being said, you'd rather get a redemption shot against Pittsburgh than against Nebraska, you would think. And that being said, they did win more sets against Nebraska than they did against Pittsburgh. But Nebraska going down certainly makes it feel like it opens things up. And I also didn't think that we were going to start today's show talking volleyball, but so be it. They're in the Final Four. That's awesome, and a legitimate chance to win the program's second national championship for Craig Skinner. That would be incredible. But it did just feel like, and sometimes in the sport it happens that way, but it did just feel like it's going to be Nebraska. Nebraska's going to win. Maybe you can get to the championship. That would be great. Runner-up, not what you strive for, but still would be a hell of a season. They go down. I did see some Nebraska fans that were like, great, already bought my Final Four tickets. I was like, Kentucky basketball fans, we've been there a time or two. We've had a little Elite Eight heartbreak once or twice, and you run to the markets. And I saw another Nebraska fan being like, ticket prices were once $300 for the book, and now you can get in just for blah, blah, blah. So UK fans, hopefully after the exciting and somewhat easy sweep on Saturday, you didn't immediately buy your Final Four tickets if you are heading out to Kansas City. Hopefully you waited, because now it's going to be real cheap. And we know the times, we know the opponents, we know the entire semifinal is set. As spoiler alert, Kentucky, as we already said, is the highest remaining seed. But exciting stuff there. And I'm hand up. I did kind of have this thought that, like, all right, Nebraska, that they're going to be tough to beat, but just get there. This is great. Final Fours are always awesome. No, legitimately, a national championship could be won once again by UK volleyball. And they get the late one on Thursday night, Stephen Peak, unfortunately. Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, so he doesn't want to talk. Coughing fit. I was actually kind of hoping Kentucky and Nebraska would play for the national championship. I wanted the two best teams to go at it. But that was actually kind of crazy. I don't know if you saw I think it was like the fourth set went all the way to 37 points. Something like that.
I did see that. And I don't know how many times they had
10. They had 10.
It was 10? Okay.
Yeah, 10 times they were on set point.
I was like, after that, it's going to the fifth set. There's no way. There's no way. But that was Texas A&M, right?
Wait, what do you mean? It was
Texas A&M, Nebraska was the one who went to 34, 36 or whatever.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. And Nebraska was on set point 10 times.
And I think Texas A&M got down to set point deficit against U of L. And they were down 2-0, down, or match point, I should say. I'm not using the right terminology.
Oh, okay, match point.
But
yeah,
Texas
okay.
A&M's got a real Cinderella story, if you will, because they were down to match point against U of L, down 2-0. They reverse swept the Cards in the Sweet 16. All right, well, you got that. Congrats. Now you get to go play Nebraska. They get up 2-0 there, and then was it in the third set or the fourth set that it does have that dramatic, like, 36-38 game or whatever it was. Nebraska wins. However, A&M had like 10, as Peak says, 10 match points, 10 chances to win it. It goes to the fifth set, and I did not see that fifth set, but did see that A&M eventually won. Saw that Texas was upset by Wisconsin, so I was on the postgame show saying how you're probably going to get a third match likely against Texas. Sure enough, they're beaten somewhat easily by Wisconsin, so Stephen Peak, it's going to be UK versus Wisconsin in the Final Four. You ever heard that one before?
Yeah, I've heard that one, and I think be a good time to get revenge on Wisconsin in the Final Four. I know there's already been a lot of people posting on social media about Craig Skinner. You got to get this one for us. You have to. But I think it's just awesome how much Kentucky fans are rallying behind this team, and TJ, Kentucky's a volleyball school now. I mean that's just. Craig Skinner is by far the most successful coach on campus. I don't think there can't really be much of a debate, right?
No. Has a national championship.
9 straight SEC championships.
Yes, it's. I don't think it's really all that particularly close. Probably Lawson, softball coach, or Mingione, baseball coach after that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, even if
Will Stein's been incredibly successful in the short time that he's been the head coach, if you just have to judge it by sample size.
Sure.
Literally nothing negative yet from that guy.
He has not lost a game yet, and I think we got to celebrate that.
It's true.
Undefeated Will Stein
It's true.
is killing it for Kentucky football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. No, but what Skinner has done, Craig Skinner, and what he has done with the UK women's volleyball program, he is the women's volleyball program. They will play Wisconsin Thursday night, 9 o'clock. That'll be after the Texas A&M Pittsburgh match at 6:30. I do think it's automatically just like 15 or 30 minutes after that match ends.
Yep,
so
30 minutes.
If it ends up being a sweep, that game will probably be a little bit earlier. If that one goes to 5, it could be even later than 9 o'clock, but get some coffee if you plan on staying up late with the UK volleyball team on Thursday. But I was very much Peak going to watch probably every point of that, or at least planning on it. And I still will, but I was hoping it was going to be the 6:30 one. That was going to be my evening entertainment, and then be able to go to bed shortly after. But I'll stay up late. And volleyball is really fun to watch. So exciting stuff. Late game, 9 o'clock against Wisconsin. A chance at some redemption for UK women's volleyball. Well, it's not really redemption for them, but from just the BBN standpoint.
Oh yeah,
a little redemption there.
Yeah, we do not want to see Kentucky lose to Wisconsin again in a Final Four, especially a Final Four where you're going to be favored to win the whole thing. So, good chance. I mean, honestly, I think they're going to play A&M the way that they're playing. I think they're going to play them in the championship game if they can get past Wisconsin, and then I like Kentucky's odds there to hang another banner. Yeah, I mean, Kentucky athletics. I would love to. Did you listen to any of the Mitch Barnhart stuff before the game on?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that? I was so interested to hear what you had to say. I didn't hear the post-game show, so I don't know if you already addressed some of it there. But
I did not talk Barnhart on the post-game show. I just let the IU game kind of let that have that space for that. I figured we'd have today, tomorrow, the rest of the week to talk Barnhart for the interview. Did you say you did listen to it or didn't listen?
I did.
Okay.
We were also in the middle of doing pregame coverage and everything, so I got at least the first part of it. And then from there, just kind of reading what other people, wrote about it. Yeah, I mean, I thought he kind of confirmed what was in the report from KSR, KentuckySportsRadio.com, what Jack and Jacob put together, and at least that players can go get their own NIL deals but that outside of the JMI 200 plus partners that they have, but that they can't wear UK logos. I have some takes on that, but I thought that regardless of the platform, it was good to hear from the guy in charge, because at the end of the day, TJ, I don't care. If JMI assists Kentucky in winning national championships, hanging banners, and winning a lot of games, I'm going to be the biggest JMI supporter out there. I just want Kentucky to win. I really have no passionate takes about who should be in charge or what. I just want them to win. So the whole issue, this is a non-issue if Kentucky was winning, if they weren't 18 or now 19-32 in their last 51 games against Power 4 competition in football and basketball, and if they had signed a player in the early signing period and were able to bring in top-tier talent for their basketball program, this would be a non-issue. But because they haven't been winning, and because as of December 15th, we have nobody coming in, and then you have Joe Tipton saying basically, I don't even know if Kentucky can sign a player. Well, all of that is going to raise suspicions about, well, what is it? Is it Mark Pope? Is it JMI? And I think what it is there's a lot of people who just don't want to blame Mark Pope right now. I think I kind of fall into that category. We all like him as a person. We want him to succeed. We liked him as a player. And he's been so great with the fans and the media that it's hard to dislike him. So you want something. You really want there to be another issue, not, all of our fears about could Mark Pope bring in the talent are coming to fruition. Do you feel it like it's that way or not, or do you disagree with me?
No, I don't disagree at all. I don't think there's really any big takeaway from that interview on Saturday. I wish that there was. I wish I could say, and I do. I think you can be nitpicky about this if you want to. And I think that if UK football was winning, Mark Stoops would still be the coach. But if UK football was thriving and Mark Pope hadn't gotten off to a rough start with UK basketball, none of this really matters because it defaults back to what you said. You just want to win. Everybody just wants UK to win. But when you had to fire your winningest coach in football history, who he openly complained about nil and the money that he had or didn't have, although over the last few months he was singing a more positive tune, but also his seat had been extremely, extremely hot, on fire, hot hiney. And then a basketball program that just has not been the same in the nil era, this wouldn't be a big deal. And I think that if things were going better in those two sports that I just referenced, then you could even hear Mitch Barnhart in different times talk to Tom Leach on Saturday and feel a little warm and fuzzy inside and say, like, oh, you know what? Things are pretty good, actually. When you hear Mitch Barnhart tell it, this all sounds good to me. You hear Mark Pope talk about other athletic directors or calling Mark Pope to say, how are you all doing this? Which, by the way,
that sounds a little weird.
Media members have to follow up on that and be like, all right, who called? What'd you all say?
What do you think he would say
what
if
were
we
they
asked?
Well, I'm going to keep that between me and the
That's
phone
why
call.
people don't ask.
So, well, who cares? You still have to ask the question just because we know what he's going to say. And then you can follow up and be like, well, what did you all say? What did you tell him? What are you all doing that is so appealing?
Yeah, that's TJ. That just seems like, okay, you guys have signed 0 players in 2025 so far. What is your secret? Doesn't that sound ridiculous?
Pete, we're on the same page.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
No, I agree with you that it's just like Pope fangirling for Mitch Barnhart.
Yeah.
It makes me personally sick. If Pope was the number 2 team in the country and we actually thought this team was going to win a national championship, then I'd be like, all right, you do whatever you got to do, big dog. I'll live with it. But the fact that we're not overly thrilled with where the program's at, it is gross just hearing him time and time again just salivate over how great Mitch Barnhart is at his job. And I thought Mitch did a fine job, but it is a state-sponsored interview by the state, produced by the state, paid for by the state. You're hearing the state talk about the state. How great is the state? Well, let me tell you, Mr. State, it's all it's North Korea. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The lady who does the interview, I don't know why they always have to make her look like that. Have you, North Korea?
I know what you're talking about.
Have you seen Western media lately? All right, we can go a different direction with your state-sponsored just propaganda. But that's what this is, and that's what it was on Saturday. And the propaganda was good. They did a good job selling you all the good that's in the program. And we love Tom Leach. I'd never say a bad word about him, and I'm not going to right now. But what is he going to do? Ask the tough questions? Like, are you going to follow up and be like, well, wait a minute, Mitch. You say this, but, like, how – that doesn't make any sense when you put it that way. When you say other sports need to start getting it in gear, are you talking specifically about basketball, or are there more sports that you have in mind? Tom's not going to do that, and we love Tom Leach, and we wouldn't expect him to do it anyways because he is the broadcaster for the basketball program, of which JMI, it's that and football, and you don't have those two things. So I almost didn't even want to talk about it, Pete, because I didn't want to give and I know that we do a sports radio show and we're going to, but I almost didn't want to give them the satisfaction. They put it before a big rivalry game, before UK-IU, knowing that, like, all right, we're going to just talk the basketball game. We're not going to talk about this JMI interview. They put it at a terrible time. They labeled it as an exclusive interview.
No.
These jokers, get out of here.
Come on.
Exclusive interview. It's your own network. How dumb do you think we are? I'm glad they won on Saturday because, boy, the tone all over the athletic program would be night and day different had they not won on Saturday. But how dumb do you all think we are? An exclusive interview with your athletic director coming off the heels of when the SID said, y'all don't think this guy's available? He's actually super available. You just have to go to these secret board meetings and then come through the back door and then hope that he talks with you and walks with you. And you better have your shoes on, Billy Gillespie and Alan Cutler, because he ain't stopping sometimes. But, yeah, no, he's totally available. And then they come out and they do the exclusive interview. All right, dude, please quit. And when it's not an exclusive interview, on a day that was actually good for UK sports, UK athletics, for UK football, he got testy. He got emotional. He threw a bit of a tantrum with the media. So, but now he's doing an exclusive interview. Exclusive from who? All right, I'm going to throw it over to an exclusive response from Stephen P.
Yeah, once that came out, we just thought, okay, that's regardless of what is going to be said, which is it's going to be prettied up. They, what do you think, TJ? Who do you think wrote those questions? Do you think Tom Leach said, "All right, Mitch"? Once they sat down, he's like, "All right, I got some questions for you."
If you want actually a hot take, I thought Mitch came off sometimes a bit like rude to Tom. They have a good relationship. I don't know that for certain, but certainly I would think that they have to have a decent relationship. There were some times where Tom was just like, Tom, Mitch, he's probably reading from a note card, dude. And Mitch came back like, all right, well, no, actually, it's like this. Well, no, actually, it's like that. How? You think it's like that? Well, here, we're doing it this way. I actually thought Mitch came off, maybe it was just my bias in the whole thing. I have to at least acknowledge that. And I'm not the biggest Mitch Barnhart fan, so I at least have to take a step back. I thought there was at times he was a little rude to Tom. I don't know if anybody else thought that.
I tried to just listen to it with an open mind.
Me too.
And tried to remove any biases. And, that's always, you can't do it completely. But because, TJ, I want him to be right. That's the whole thing. If whatever my guy, like my coworkers wrote, and most of that article was not even about JMI. If you read it, that was a small part of it. I want them, and I want the people that they talk to, the sources they talk to, whether that was agents or family or whoever, I want them to be wrong because we're in this contract, and I don't know what can be amended or changed to better suit Kentucky. I do think, and as I've said, it's in JMI's best interest for Kentucky to be good. They need them to be relevant, or else it costs them money, right? So I want Mitch Barnhart to be right. I want him to have done something that is that is positive. I want this whole partnership to work out. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I cover the team, but I've been a fan of this since I was 6 years old. Like, I want it to work. I want them to be good. And that's, you know, how KSR is, TJ, like almost everybody there. We're just big Kentucky fans. So all of that stuff is like.
Or are you all? No.
Yeah, you all don't want Kentucky to win.
No.
Yeah, we did get to the blame KSR part of the season rather early this year, but we need Kentucky to be good at KentuckySportsRadio.com. At Kentucky Roll Call, we need Kentucky to be good because otherwise people don't pay attention. This is a huge fan base, and I'm not saying that people are fair weather, but they'll watch the games. But if the teams keep losing, they don't want to take in all the extra content because they'd rather not be reminded that their team is losing. So very important, like you said, that Kentucky got a win. At halftime, as the booze started raining down, I thought, oh boy, like this place, this whole state is just going to be miserable, outside of the small patch of
that
Louisville
first
fans.
half. I mean, it was really just the end of the first half. It was really the final 90 seconds. But, yes, I was in the same boat. And sadly, at halftime, I wasn't even nearly as mad as I probably should have been. I
was the same way.
I was annoyed to have to watch that just bad basketball, and I felt sorry for myself that I was reserved to have to watch another 20 minutes of more bad basketball. But I was fearing that apathy was setting in, Stephen Peak, there as that half happened. To finish the Mitch Barnhart conversation, and again, if you all want to talk about it, Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. Text it on in. We'll read it on air. Game Day Men's Health, the redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results with 2026 right around the corner. And isn't it crazy? It's already December 15th. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and take care of your body, whether it's peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. Get to be the best you can be. And don't wait till the calendar says 2026. Get it going before then, and then you're hitting the ground running while all these other schmucks are just getting their resolutions going at the beginning of the new year. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. It is a new era of men's health, and then get your text in. But just to wrap it up, I almost want to protest the interview by not making any big takes, and that's what I come back to. He said all the right things for an athletic director defending their partnership. They said all the right talking points. Really, not much of what he said was even all that new. And I want to protest it by not even having a big grandiose take. So I don't have a big grandiose take. But, Peak, it does seem like on the day-to-day operations for UK, if you're just a three-star football player coming in as a freshman, I think the JMI situation is good for UK.
Agree.
I think it's good for you. Just the way that it sounds like just for your run-of-the-mill student athletes, this is good.
Yep.
I still am not convinced, and I'm actually more convinced that it's not friendly for the five-star quarterback that can change the program around.
I've been shouting this.
The 7-foot center that's going to be a top 5 pick that just can go anywhere and make stupid amount of money.
Yep.
For the transfer portal dude, who I've got a couple partnerships from my old place that I want to bring over, and I want to make some new ones, but I also may have some from my hometown because we're going to play some games there, blah, blah, or whatever it may be. I don't think it's friendliest for the best of the best.
Yep.
But I think for 90% of everybody else, 85% of everybody else, I think it's really good. And that was almost hammered home in this state-sponsored propaganda interview on Saturday.
Yeah, well, I said that when we talked on, I guess it was Friday, and this is what I think is the issue, okay? So I get that you want to talk about this after the break, or do we have to go to break?
No, we can finish.
Okay.
I say you follow up with your takes here, then we'll go to a break, and then we can actually get into the game, which I'm very excited to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what I think is exactly what you said. When you are a 3-star, even 4-star football player coming in, you sign with JMI, you sign with Kentucky, you have the JMI deal, they have 200-plus partners already lined up to give you money. Perfect. That's great. That's less work for your agent. You've already got all these deals set up for you. That's perfect, right? That's going to help. That's going to help Will Stein. That's probably helping all their other programs. But when you are a 5-star basketball player, because Kentucky basketball, we want to go after the best players, right? And if you're Tyron Stokes or whoever, Christian Collins, and you're already a personal brand, there's already shoe deals. How many football players have a shoe deal already before they get to college? I don't think there's that many, right? So I think that's kind of the issue. So let's say like you're Tyron Stokes and you already have let's just throw it out there, like a Pizza Hut deal, all right? Because you're Tyron Stokes, like they know that you're the number one player in the class. You can sell pizzas by just being Tyron Stokes. But Kentucky, let's say, has a deal with Hunt Brothers Pizza. I don't know. I'm just making things up. Okay, so now they're going to allow you to.
Ooh, by the way.
What's that?
Ooh.
Oh, it's in my top. It's
Ooh.
not even in my top 30 of pizzas. But
my brother was he yeah, I don't know about you, Peak, but like family birthdays and whatnot, it's just not one thing with a divorced family. It's like we got my dad's birthday, so you were celebrating at my dad's house, we're celebrating at my mom's house, and for my brother's birthday, which was recently, happy birthday to him again, we did pizza at my dad's on Thursday, and then we did pizza at my mom's on Sunday. Just like, all right, too much pizza, entirely too much pizza. But we did a power rankings of pizza, and just for me, the place that we just mentioned, I won't reiterate it, that is right at the top. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So, yeah, it's not amazing. But, so let's say that's the deal, right? Kentucky has a partnership with, again, making things up, Hunt Brothers Pizza. Tyron Stokes already has Pizza Hut reaching out to him. So he can still do the Pizza Hut ad, according to the contract. He can still do it, but he can't wear a Kentucky logo or have a Kentucky jersey on, which from a business standpoint, it makes sense, right? If you're Kentucky, that deal with and JMI, the deal is to protect the people who already advertise with you, correct? Because you wouldn't want to advertise with Hunt Brothers and with Pizza Hut. So Tyron Stokes can still do that ad, but he can't do it while wearing a Kentucky jersey or something to signify he's a Kentucky player. Well, that kind of limits what he's worth to Pizza Hut, at least regionally, right? Because Tyron Stokes, maybe we would recognize him, but if you just saw Christian Collins and you're just a Kentucky fan, you're not in the weeds with it like we are, I don't know that you would know, oh, that's Kentucky basketball player Christian Collins, without him wearing the logo or being in Rupp Arena, or you know what I'm saying? So I think that is where you could potentially lose out on a player. I don't know that that's what has happened, but they feel like maybe I'm signing my rights away here. I can't now go maximize my dollars unless JMI can do it for me. And I think what they're going to have to do is just really, like, whatever the language is in the contract, they might need to amend it just to make the agents and players understand we're really not having you sign your rights away. This is just a little stipulation in the contract that says you can't have a Kentucky logo when advertising or doing an NIL deal outside of those 200 partnerships.
Yeah, and even then, that's just dumb. And
I totally agree. But they got to figure out how to market that better or how to pitch that better, because I think some people are seeing it as, oh, we can only do those 200 partnerships.
And I'm going to, like, again, I don't know enough about it. I'm not convinced based on what Mitch Barnhart said in the state-sponsored interview on Saturday. But, like, is that really that one specific thing? Is that really the reason UK's not getting these guys at the end of the day? UK's leading for these people. They're number one for months. They're going to land Stokes. And then it's time to sign on the dotted line. And then they're like, well, wait a minute. I'm not going to be able to wear my team logo on this commercial brand. Well, hold on a second. I'm not sure anymore. And I know that I'm taking some liberties.
But I think that's the problem. It may not be that if they understood it, that it might be. That's what I'm saying. They just need to market it, but they need to pitch it better and let these people understand it, because it does sound like they're getting to the table to sign, and then somebody's reading the contract. I don't know this. I'm just, because of how, like you said, Christian Collins and Tyron Stokes felt like it was coming down to them choosing to go to Kentucky, and then something happened, and now they're not. Or they at least delayed it to the spring.
Yeah, it certainly something did happen. But what I would have liked to hear from Mitch Barnhart, I'll be in those meetings. I'll make sure that they know that, like, we're not going to be a hiccup on any of this stuff. I'll make sure. I don't care. We'll amend the contract to make them happy. We're going to be the most player-friendly destination possible. And, of course, Mitch never in a million years would say anything like that. He would say, well, we've got a good structure, and other people really, really like it, and we're great, and everything we do is awesome and fun. So we are blah, 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 blah. And then you'd fall asleep because it's Mitch Barnhart. All right, we're going to talk about the game from Saturday. It was a tale of two halves, if you will. The second one was a lot of fun. The Cats are back, baby. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.
The Hoosiers are the #1 team in the country, and the quest for the national championship starts now.
Lane jump stop to the rim with a right-hand floater goes in.
You are, but it seems like he's been out there all over the place.
Low at the left elbow, hesitates down the lane, scoops it up and in.
Welcome back. A couple highlights from Kentucky's 72-60 win over Indiana on Saturday night. Tom Leach, Jack Goose Givens on the call. And whew, feels like we can exhale Stephen Peak. This is KRC. I am TJ Walker.
Exhaling.
And that second half was a lot of fun. On TV, Peak, it sounded a lot more like your vintage Rupp Arena. You heard some booing there in the second half, or in the first half, not in the second half. Although, doing the post-game show, it's funny how when you're just getting right into it, like game ends, microphones there, let's talk. Getting into the post-game show, it was like, all right, Cats win. That's good, clean family fun. UK was down 7 with about, 14 minutes to go in the second half. It felt like a more comfortable win than it really probably was, but that just goes to show how UK and that burst there in the second half, the second half of the second half, if you will, the second and third quarters of the second half was just a total domination by UK. And the first quarter of the second half and the fourth quarter of the second half, Indiana just kind of hung even, played even. But again, I think that speaks volumes to just when UK turned it on, they turned it on quickly and they didn't look back. And for a certain juncture of that run from UK in the second half, it was the Jalen Lowe and Mo Diabate show. And we have missed those guys. I am super impressed with Brandon Garrison. He had that dunk during that middle of the Jalen Lowe and Mo Diabate run, that Brandon Garrison dunk, which may have been the highlight of the game.
Sure was.
And he played well the second he got into the game. It looked like a different Brandon Garrison, which goes to show Nick Roush was a big proponent of this. I say this in jest. Nick Roush did not, but bullying works. Do you not think that everybody getting on Brandon Garrison's ass, especially his head coach, obviously his head coach, that's not to say you direct message anybody or you beam him publicly, but in terms of the context of a sporting event, as if it's a show or it's a performance, he was giving cow manure performance. He gave much, much better performance, and you saw the result. He looked like a good basketball player, Peak. He looked like a basketball player that you could have out there, and he made a difference. Great passing, good floor spacing, ran the floor well on that screen and finished it well on a cool dunk. A confident Brandon Garrison that just lets things come to him and makes the simple decision without doing too much. He can stay. He can play. The Brandon Garrison that tries to do too much, that thinks he has to take over, and then more importantly, doesn't try, and his effort isn't there.
Right. That's it.
You can't play him at all. Effort was good. I was proud to see it. Fun to watch. Much better. But let's not pretend ourselves. It was Jalen Lowe and it was Mo Diabate that won UK these games. And it's fair to say if you have those guys against North Carolina, you win that game. I don't think Mo Diabate is changing the Gonzaga game. Closer maybe, and maybe, that maybe there's a ripple effect there.
Maybe,
I'm not willing to say from a win-loss standpoint. But you're definitely beating UNC. I do feel confident about that.
Yeah, you win that game.
Difference makers. UK looks like a different team, and that was the theme of the postgame show. Is you can see a light for butt slapping, if you will. If you want a reason for optimism, we saw the blueprint on Saturday, Peak, and that is with defense.
Yep, that's the way they're going to have to win.
If this team is going to be something, all right, hey, maybe they're going to be a good defensive team, and you really take pride in the way that you defend, and then you add Jaden Quaintance to the equation, one of the best shot blockers, maybe the best shot blocker in college basketball, and all right, yeah, the shooting is not what it needs to be, and it's not what we hoped that it would be, although we were worried looking in the offseason at roster construction that it could be this, and unfortunately we were right. The coaching staff was wrong. So be it. What can you do about it now? There's no trades in college basketball.
Yep.
Let's focus elsewhere. And Charles Barkley, and we're going to talk about the broadcast and see what you thought about it and see what the text line thought about it, the Game Day Men's Health text line thought about it. But Charles Barkley, he had the right idea just about 5-10 minutes into the game. UK needs to run. Their half-court offense stinks when they get into the half court. That's not going to work. So play quick, get teams into a track meet, and then you may be gifted enough defensively where, all right, this can work. This can work. And I think that's probably the answer. The half-court offense is But Jalen Lowe,
not good.
But Jalen Lowe, you had that little step back that he had. Jasper Johnson can do that. He's just not making it nearly enough. Fun to see Jalen Lowe do that. And then he is tough to guard. He was able to get where he wanted. He gets other guys open. So maybe the offense has some optimism there. However, I think the path forward for this team, if they're ever going to be a legitimate top 15 team, which I would take that right now. I don't think they're there, and I don't know if they can get there. But if they are, it's going to be defensively, because that was a good performance against IU. Of course, Lamar Wilkerson being in foul trouble, that made things a little bit easier. That was the game.
That was it.
Yeah.
It seemed like Kentucky, the way Kentucky was driving to the basket, that was the game plan. Like, let's get number 3 in foul trouble. And it worked out that way. That was huge.
If I was an IU fan, I would probably have complained a little bit about the whistle. But you know what? Us Kentucky fans,
Indiana fouls a lot. That's what they do.
They do, and UK took advantage of it. They knew they had an advantage inside. They knew they could get to the line. And Kentucky, Peak, we're due for a home whistle. It had been a little bit since we had that, so that was nice to see. I will take that happily.
Hey, Indiana still made more free throws than Kentucky did. We shot 9 more, but here's an interesting stat, TJ. You talk about the defense. The defense at Rupp Arena has been phenomenal. Away from Rupp Arena, not as good. But when you look at North Carolina, Indiana, Purdue, I didn't have the Georgetown game pulled up, but those 3 games where Kentucky really did, I thought, put in a great defensive effort against some Power 4 competition. Indiana, Purdue, North Carolina, a combined 13 of 61 from 3. That's, what is that? That's 21%. 21% from 3. And then Indiana, what did they end up shooting on Saturday? It was 4 of 24. They missed 23s. After that performance they put up against Penn State, that seems significant. Tucker DeVries 1 for 9. And then Lamar Wilkerson only being able to pull the trigger on 5, mainly because he could only play 21 minutes. Now he got off 15 in 23.5 against Penn State. But I thought the way that the Kentucky defended him almost all the game, except for a couple lapses, one where he got a wide open 3 on the wing, I thought that Kentucky did a great job. I mean, there was times they were just face guarding him. We're not going to let you beat us. Since you wanted to be the guy, not just another guy, you wanted to be the guy. We're not going to let the guy beat us. I thought Kentucky did a great job of defense on him. And, yeah, man, this is just how they're going to have to win. This is not the Mark Pope offense that we thought we were going to get. And I'm not okay with that. I was about to say it's okay. I'm not. That was the biggest thing for me and why I was excited, because I have watched Kentucky under Calipari try to win games like this without like the John Wall talent, without the James Young or the Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox talent. They're trying to do it with Severe Wheeler, and it's not going to work that way. And so I wanted like a totally rebranded offense. If you can't go out, if you can't get John Wall, those kind of players, if you're getting the next level down of guard, then this, the way that Cal wants to play, that, dribble, drive, get downhill, get to the basket, draw fouls, it's just, it's kind of hard to watch. This team might be hard to watch because the deficiencies on shooting are significant. 3 of 15 from 3 on Saturday. They just can't. They're just not good at that part of the game. But when you show effort and you go after loose balls and you go after rebounds, good things can happen. And Brandon Garrison learned that. Bullying might work from the fans a little bit, but I think it was his coach sending a message. I think it was his coach benching him for the second half of the last game.
That's bullying, right?
Yeah. But I just mean, like, from the fans, you only get so much. I mean, you can almost I don't want players reading any of that stuff, honestly. But But from the coach that believes in you, breaking a clipboard and saying, I'm tired of watching you play, or whatever it was that Pope said to Brandon Garrison, that obviously got his attention. There was more effort. Now, BG still did some BG stuff. He just finished. Okay, so like you had the one where he does the little Euro step through the lane. I'm like, what is this? And he finishes at the rim. That looked beautiful. He then got a rebound off of a miss. He fought for the rebound. Like I had so much credit for this. And then he just says, I'm just going up with it. And it missed everything. We still do some stuff on offense that I watched the game this morning. And we do not pass the ball to our open teammates. It drives me nuts. Like, I'm literally losing my mind watching as I press pause. I go, there are 3 guys wide open. Trent Noah, Colin Chandler, or Denzel Aberdeen. And we're just going 1-on-4 to the basket. That's the stuff that we were doing in 22-23 that just drove me crazy. Not passing to open teammates. We only had, TJ, we did kick out threes in like dribble drive, kick out once the help defense comes 3 times. They were all Trent Noah, and 2 of those led to threes going in. Inside out threes, TJ, those are the easiest ones to make, right? You're catching it already in the pocket, basically, and you're able to have a quicker trigger. It really did. I'm excited Kentucky won that game. Don't get me wrong, and I love beating Indiana. I loved it. I said I couldn't imagine what it would have been like to have lost. This is just going to be how they're going to have to win. They're going to have to win ugly. And they're going to have to hope the other team shoots very poorly from behind the three-point line. Because I even with Jalen Lowe and Mohamed Diabate, who, by the way, combined for plus 42 in the plus-minus category. Pretty good. Plus 24 for Jalen Lowe. Plus 24 for Jalen Lowe. That seems significant. Do you think that is it just I don't know. I mean, is this enough of a sample size to be comfortable in saying Mark Pope is now abandoning his original strategy?
No, well,
he wants to shoot 35 threes. They were 20 off from that.
I don't think you can have any that large of a take for a one game. It'll be a game by game sample size. I think you got to take what you can. You got to take what's given.
They shot 13 versus North Carolina.
I hope. I mean, you're not. I don't want this team to shoot 43s.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think Mark Pope realizes we probably can't do that because
I think if they were there though, you probably would have seen them shoot more. They just weren't there. So. And there's an emphasis against IU. Every team does this. Kentucky was smart to do this. I would be a little bit more concerned if Pope didn't do this, but you have to attack IU inside. They don't have a lot of front court depth. A couple of their front court players either were injured or got in foul trouble early in that game. I actually thought that Kentucky was a little slow to go inside, but part of that is having to go get them in foul trouble. And then in that second half, IU had to make a decision. All right. Are we going to foul out of the game, or are we going to just contest without being too aggressive? And they weren't overly aggressive, and I think that's a big reason why Mo Diabate. So I think Kentucky, I don't know. I hope that Mark Pope is learning, and I think that he is. He's a good coach. He's a smart. He knows more about basketball certainly than I do, but I don't know for certain. I still think there's going to be games that they do shoot 33s just if a team says, all right, we'll let you beat us from the perimeter. IU, I don't know. They did not do that. If I was IU, I probably would have just packed everything inside and dared UK to beat you outside. And that's gonna be what they're going to have to do moving forward. But I still think there's going to be plenty of games that UK shoots a bunch of threes. And Peak, I bet there will be a game or two where there's a couple of games that they hit a couple threes, but or a couple threes where they hit like 10 threes or something like that.
Yeah, if they hit a couple threes against North Carolina, they would have won the game.
But it is a it is not a good outside shooting team. It's never going to be a good outside shooting team with this roster makeup. Pope is almost certainly going to have a year 3, and I pray that he gets better shooters. I'm sure that he will. This is ideally going to be the worst outside shooting team that he ever has at UK. And if it's not, then it'll probably be one of 2, because the next one will be his last. You just can't do this again if you're Mark Pope. But they'll have a good shooting night, but you have to go inside. And Mo Diabate, I heard Jeff Drummond make this comparison on the Leach report. Although I love Jeff Drummond and I love Leach, and we got to get to a commercial break here soon. I'm the producer. I've got to keep I'm in charge of that. Jeff Drummond brought up Wildcats tongue's tweet and didn't reference Wildcats tongue.
Oh no! Come on,
come on. Mention our favorite phallic-shaped Wildcat mascot. You have to do that, Jeff Drummond. But Jeff Drummond said Mo Diabate's got a lot of Chuck Hayes to him. I'm like, I like that. I can get behind that. So you got to just go inside with this team, and especially when Jaden Quaid's. Maybe you can just bully some teams. I know UK fans, it reminds you a little Calipari. All right, hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call. Coming up next on the Big X here is more highlights from Saturday's win. We'll talk more about it in your text into the show.
You know, I see one of Indiana's weaknesses.
Nice move there. Chandler getting in.
Because you just can't come down in the half court. Because you got, look, they all over this kid on the perimeter. He's a heck of a player. Oh, he shouldn't have hesitated. There you go.
Not as recruited as some of the kids that came in who are big-time recruits. You weren't a big-time recruit.
This is Kentuckiana's only locally owned sports talk, the Big X, AM 1450.
we ain't done yet.
You personally?
I think we ain't done yet.
With Walker and Peak.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Stephen Peak, TJ Walker. Get your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. I don't know if Peak thought it was funny as I thought it was, but we went, at the end of hour 1, we went to a commercial break, and I was playing.
Hey, always be nice.
Over the top, the slam by Patterson.
I was playing this.
Today's the best I've ever seen.
Highlights from the game on Saturday. The ESPN broadcast, Barkley and Dick Vitale.
Stand up and cheer.
You know, they were playing hard to.
And the part of the highlights that I was playing going to the break,
penetration and
you all would have had no idea what part of the game I was playing, because while this TV broadcast was entertaining, they hardly talked about the game, what was actually going on. I enjoyed it. It was a lot better than I think my other producer over at 680 on the postgame show brought this up. It was a lot better than Jimmy Dykes. So I was appreciative of that, but they didn't talk the game a lot. So I apologize if you had no idea what that audio was going to the hour break. But welcome back, hour number 2, and we're going to talk more UK versus IU. But you went back and rewatched the game this morning, Stephen Peak. You were in Rupp Arena on Saturday. What did you think of the broadcast?
Their broadcasts now, national broadcasts, are basically just podcasts with the game going on in the background, right? That's kind of what it is. They're trying to appeal to a national audience, and what that does, though, is it diminishes the importance of the game. You don't do that in the Final Four. You don't do that for big-time college football games. It seems to only be big-time college basketball games that are played in the regular season that get that treatment. Now, just having Dick Vitale's voice on there is important. When I was at Murray State during that 2011-2012 season, there was a big campaign to bring Dick Vitale to Murray because they were undefeated and having a good year, and or not just good, they're having an historically good season. And when he showed up, it was huge. I mean, it was such a big deal to have Dick Vitale calling the game. And I still think that's true for any team. To have Dick Vitale in your building, he kind of is college basketball on ESPN.
They had those signs around behind him in the stands and in the student section where it was like, Diaper Dandy, and it's awesome, baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, do these students even know what this stuff means?
Sure they do.
Do you think so?
Yeah, sure they do.
We had the video games. I mean, he was like an icon. I remember Peak, and I'm sure you probably can relate, but like I remember going to game day was like the biggest deal in the world, just because you may see Aaron Andrews, or you may see what highlighters Digger Phelps wearing. Is he going to lecture us for being too loud or being too supportive of our team? But like I went to a couple of U of L game days because it was just like that was the thing to do back in high school or in college. It was the fun thing to do. I was wondering if they even know what like peak Dick Vitale is if you're a 20-year-old right now or a 19-year-old.
I feel like you do. You mean you've at least seen highlights, right? I mean, it's not like he's dead. I mean, he's still doing it. So
I confirmed, not at least as of Saturday. Confirmed.
Yeah. You know, he's called game. I heard other people make that take, and he's calling games. He's calling games last season. Maybe he doesn't use his catchphrases as much, but yeah, Diaper Dandy, everybody knows.
I don't know. He obviously he has a good excuse, and we're happy that he is still with us, and he is an icon. I'm not. I don't know. I don't think
they obviously do if they made the signs.
No,
right.
I don't. But who made the signs?
You think they were just handed to them?
Yeah, because they were. Yes, I do. I think they were handed to.
Well, then maybe now at least they know.
Maybe if the KSR would actually do some journalism and ask the students, like, "Hey, do you even know what this means? What you're holding up?" But of course, you're not going to get that level of journalism from KSR.
No, not at all.
Who's at Jeff Ruby's update? Although, by the way, you see that the little pup was
woof, woof. What was he doing?
He was at at Jeff Ruby's on Saturday night.
The one in Lexington?
Yes, Lexington Jeff Ruby.
Oh, his old stomping ground.
I think Jennifer Palumbo tweeted it out.
Well, that's got to be so weird for him, doesn't it? Or no, it's just I guess maybe not. It feels like he's at home, right?
Yeah, it's probably like he never left.
Yeah, that's true. It hasn't been that long.
I think that let me see if let me make sure that it's what I actually think that it was. I want to get the tweet right. I think she made. Okay, all right. This was on December 13th. Yeah, so this was before the game. You never know who you'll run into at Jeff Ruby's. Miss ya, Vince Marrow, and tagged him in the tweet. And it's them at the Jeff Ruby's. She's wearing her UK outfit. And I did see, and I okay.
I'd actually be disappointed if I go to a Jeff Ruby's and I don't see Vince Marrow. He's like the mascot for the place at this point.
Yeah, okay. It was Morrison on Crying. I wanted to give credit for who it was. They tweeted and they said, "There's actually no one you're likelier to run into at Jeff Ruby's."
Exactly.
I was like, yeah, that's hilarious. And Peak, that's a good joke on your part. It's like if you go there, you got to run into the Mr. Who's more likely, Jeff Ruby's or Vince Marrow, that you're going to run into at a Jeff Ruby's?
Yeah, it's like going to Buc-ee's and not seeing the Beaver mascot. Just like it diminishes your experience at the place.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun. All right, they told the jokes better certainly than I did. Apologies. 502-414-1450. I have a million more takes on the game, but I got to do a post-game show on Saturday, so I've given a lot of those takes out. I'm ready to get to the text line, Peak, when you're done.
No, yeah, let's go to it, because some of the people in the text line are already making the points that I would make. I just got one right off the top here. What are the percent chances? Is this never mind, I thought Wildcat song was in this one. It was not. What percent chance does Rick bring out a packed-in 2-3 zone on Saturday? I don't think you can just throw a zone out there and like a lot of people think you can let's just go 2-3, like as if whether we've gone over it in practice or not, let's just go 2-3. Maybe with some teams you can, but it's a team defense, right, TJ? It's not men's league 2-3 where you're fine with giving up open shots because nobody's going to make them anyway. You have to communicate, you have to rotate. It's a lot more complicated at this level of basketball, but if there was a team to do it against, there's lineups that Kentucky has that there's nobody who can shoot. There's not one guy in that lineup that should be shooting the ball when I think it was, there was a lineup with Jalen Lowe, Denzel Aberdeen, Otega Owe, Malachi Moreno, and Mo Diabate, or Brandon Garrison and Mo Diabate. Well, let any and all of those guys shoot. Let them fly, baby. Let them go. I'll take my chances. So I don't know if he'll pack in a 2-3, but you're already noticing, as I went through the video again today, Indiana obviously playing man, but sagging off a lot. And so the lane just becomes so congested. And that's it all worked because Kentucky won the game. And they won by 12. That's convincing enough. Yes, they pulled away late, but I will never apologize for a 12-point win over any Power 4 team. I'll take it.
No apologize.
No. I love winning and I love beating IU. But the offense looks clunky because nobody can shoot and we're just driving to the basket and just throwing stuff up. That Aberdeen shot where he was doing some and one mixtape tour stuff.
The ball slipped out of his hands. Give him a break.
But that's a bad shot anyway. You weren't going to finish that. We took so many drives to the basket and didn't finish. And we got guys down there getting rebounds in Brandon Garrison and Mo Diabate, so it worked out. We got putbacks. So that's I understand that was part of the strategy, right? Just put the ball up towards the rim and then we'll go fight for rebounds and we'll get putbacks. But there is the lack of scorers on the team makes it to where like teams are going to sag off and the paint is going to be where you want to do those zoom action cuts. You can't get backdoor cuts because the guy who's guarding another player who's supposed to be in the corner or who is in the corner is not being guarded. So when you do a lot of those actions, we were running some Cal stuff. We were doing some floppy, doing some horns action on Saturday. It was a very much it was a Calipari offense, and it was a Calipari offense that we're running now without the star athletes that Cal could bring in, and that's where I'm still very much concerned about how this is going to look moving forward. Now, I do think that Coach Pope can figure out how to do this effectively. If that's how we're going to have to play, there were some tough finishes that our guys were able to. I mean, Aberdeen and Garrison had a little two-man game where Cam Williams was able to finish tough at the basket. But to the texter's question, where I don't think you'll see a straight-up 2-3, I think everybody's just going to be packing it in on Kentucky until they can prove that they can hit outside shots. And that just makes everything more difficult that Mark Pope wants to do with his offense. So it does make it to where you do have to run horns action. You do have to run floppies just to try to get some dribble handoffs and get guys to where they're cutting to the basket, and they only have to beat one or two guys to get a layup off. And it's a lot of one-man ISO ball. And that doesn't work when they can pack into the lane, TJ.
A lot of floppy talk, too.
Floppy. We love the floppy action.
Floppy City, USA. I wouldn't be shocked if St. John's would do exactly that. I do have a St. John's Rick Pitino take. Got a lot of takes. Got more takes on the game from Saturday. Rick Pitino, if you care about your guy, Mark Pope, so much, do the selfless thing and give him a win on Saturday. Couldn't you?
Exactly.
Couldn't you
Good
see
point.
Rick Pitino being like, our guys need to face a little more adversity. Mark Pope and his guys, they needed it more. They needed it. That was a little bit of a Bostonian, New Yorker
I loved it.
accent
Yeah.
with a little baby accent mixed in there as well.
I think you got to work that in more.
But if he's such a great hire, you sold him on us so much, then certainly he would beat you, right? If he's so great, then certainly he could beat you at a time that he needs it. The fans are starting to get restless. Certainly Rick Pitino heard about the boos in Nashville. You don't want your guy to have to face more boos. So go ahead and give us this win. We need it.
Exactly. If he cared about Mark Pope at all, he would do everything he could to help Kentucky win this game.
And even if he doesn't have that mindset, even if he's like, I hate UK, I want to beat UK. They embarrassed me so much during the U of L, Cal era, when Cal was at UK and I was at U of L. I want to stick it to him. If Kentucky were to get the win and they were to upset St. John's, because I do think St. John's will be the favorite on Saturday.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they'll be. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be 4.5-point favorite, maybe 5.5-point favorite.
I could see where Kentucky gets the edge in this one by like 1.5.
I would be surprised if UK was the favorite.
And then it will eventually get bet to South Carolina. All right, into St. John's. I just had South Carolina pulled up here.
Reading that, I've done the same. No, I'd be surprised if Kentucky was, but who knows? The name I think carries a little bit more weight. But even if he didn't have that mindset, and if Kentucky were to get the win, then he'd come out and probably at least like infer that, be like, yeah, I knew what this would mean to the BBN and to Pope. And and our guys, we'll be fine, but we got a long ways to go. They need to let this soak in around the holidays. They heard those blue-white chants and the Cats chants, and they can think about that over the holidays. Although they do have a game again. They have a game before UK. They play DePaul, a conference game tomorrow, and then after UK before Christmas they'll play Harvard, and Kentucky will play Bellarmine before Christmas as well. But no, I could definitely see them throwing in a zone. And then, Pete, going back to your takes on the game, and I'll get into that take a little bit later on. We can read more text. Our buddy Wildcat's Tongue texts into the show, and he says, let's say you get tickets to the St. John's game in Atlanta or the volleyball Final Four in Kansas City. Which one are you going to? Also, ever since Peak got into crypto, he's had me blocked on Twitter. Does he hate me? Yeah, that's just Peak. He's a changed man. It's like that Spider-Man movie where he gets the black Spider-Man outfit, and then all of a sudden he starts like walking around town and he's like doing finger guns and winking at people and like doing he does the tongue out. Good for the YouTube viewers, not so good for radio, but you can imagine.
Yeah, I imagined that one really well.
Yeah, okay.
I do feel bad. I think there's a few more people. I just went to my blocked because I guess whoever was reporting that as spam, whoever had my account.
The hacker in Cambodia, if you spoke out against Peak being hacked, he blocked you.
Yeah,
he got you.
Yep.
Your lack of silence was violence in this instance.
Yes.
WT.
Yeah. So So I just followed Wildcat's tongue back. We're good. And I'm seeing who else I have to unblock. I think there might be a few other people.
Volleyball or St. John's?
Oof. I mean, it's Rick Pitino against Kentucky.
Yeah, it would obviously be basketball in Atlanta. Although Kansas City would be fun. Great food town.
Yeah, some barbecue.
Not a fun drive, just for what it's worth. If you split it up and stay in St. Louis, then it's really not too bad. But it's not a great drive. Flight, I'm sure, would probably be nothing. I bet that would be easy peasy.
Let's look it up. I'll look it up while you talk.
What, the flight or?
Yeah, the flight. I made this drive before. It wasn't that bad. I went there for the NFL draft.
It's like a good old-fashioned 8 hours, and it's nothing.
Well, you do get to see the arch on the way, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, for like 20 seconds.
Yep. Your arch to farmland ratio is still bad. But,
You're right.
But you know, you get to go through. There's not many road trips that I get to go on where I get to drive through a cool city. Well, if I do, it's usually just Nashville. But most of our SEC trips, you don't get to see anything cool until you get there.
The wife, then girlfriend, we drove to Lawrence in 2016, and we stayed the night in St. Louis to break up the drive, which obviously driving to St. Louis isn't bad at all. But then from St. Louis to Lawrence, and then we stopped in Kansas City to just have some barbecue.
TJ, I got a question.
And it was good?
Go ahead. No, sorry.
But the drive to Lawrence was overall just, ooh.
You didn't like it?
No, not good. Not fun. And then the cops hang out on the overpass, which is just like, that's sneaky. Get the hell out of here with that.
That's just a constant? They're always doing that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just like what they do in Missouri, the show me state, and Kansas, the hide me state.
It's about $800 plane ticket.
What?
Yeah, $787 round trip for one person.
Jeez Louise, in this economy.
I got a question for you. How come when I type in flights to Kansas City or wherever, that Google just decides I'm going to give you a random date about a month from now? Why is it never like I might be? Why would you guess a random date? Like it just gives me January 24th. Well, why would I? That you have to be right on the nose for that to matter to me. You would think that the most logical thing to do would be today's date, and then make me work from there. Does that, you know what I'm saying?
I think they're just guessing.
But why do that? Now I gotta click. I see. Oh, it's only $500, and then I click. I'm like, that's it.
Well, it's got to be some date, sometime, right?
Yeah. So just give me today's date. I will adjust the calendar from that point.
Today. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Now I only have to click three times over. Now I got to click the calendar twice.
I'm actually on the computer side here.
There's no way that
I like
you
the idea
that.
of them just guessing a random date and just being like, I hope this is when Peak was wanting to go to Kansas City.
Yeah, because it shows a drastically cheaper price. So it's 200. Oh, that's crazy. I mean, I guess nobody wants to be in Kansas City in January, but they have that at $300. So it's less than half. Crazy. Anyways, just something that annoys me with Google got worse on purpose. Did you know that?
Well,
they made it worse on purpose.
Bold strategy in the AI era.
But the reason is because they know they make more money if you have to change your search. So the more clicks that you get, the more ads you see, therefore the more money Google sees. So they made it worse on purpose.
I don't know about that.
Well, they did. That is. I mean, you can.
I don't know about that.
You don't have to know about it. It already happened.
It seems like a weird Wednesday. I mean, I'll take your word for it, but it seems like we got to see a both sides situation.
Well, the other side is that they're the only one that they basically paid Apple like several $billion every year so that they wouldn't switch to another search engine or create their own, so that they can have the monopoly over the search engine. Because does anybody use Bing or Yahoo or any of the others?
I'm an Ask Jeeves kind of guy.
Ask Jeeves. I mean, that is probably their biggest competition at this point. But yeah, no, it's we can talk about anything else, and actually, I would highly recommend it for a sports show. But yeah, Google is bad on purpose now. So I guess it's still the best one, but they do make more money, TJ, and that's at the end of the day. Isn't that what's most important?
That's a good point. That is a good point. No, it'd be fun to go to the Final Four, the volleyball Final Four, but I'm picking the St. John's game for sure. Wildcats stung. A texter on the Game Day Men's Health text line says, I think the coverage by Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley was all right. They're legends in the broadcasting and deserve their flowers. Well, they did seem to genuinely enjoy getting to do the game with one another. I agree with Peak for like a big-time college basketball game, and I know IU is not the 80s IU, and this Kentucky isn't the Kentucky where we want them to be. But let them do UK Bellarmine. Actually, I'll be locked in for the Spears call of that game. But I would rather them do a not a huge game. But UKIU, you haven't done this one. They haven't played in the regular season for such a long time. You need probably your A team for that and not your gimmicky team. And this was the gimmicky team. It was entertaining. I was okay with it. I had the radio. I was listening to the radio broadcast throughout parts of the game. So I was okay. I was trying to go back and forth. It was what it was. But
I still think it was cool. Like, I still think it's cool that those two guys were in the building
better
for
than
that
Jimmy
game.
Dykes. I just
100%.
I will default to that.
Yeah.
Better. We're gonna get so much Jimmy Dykes. It's gonna be Jimmy Dykes.
Never have enough
Tuesday,
violent
and then
cuts.
On Saturday, and then on Tuesday, and then on Saturday, and then on Wednesday, and then back on Saturday. More rockin' little heartbeat.
Drive to the nail. That was Patrick Murphy on that text line. Shout out Patrick Murphy.
Thanks, Patrick Murphy. We got you in the text line, buddy. A texter on the this one's from Josh. Says, were you texting with Josh?
I was doing a little texting back and forth. I didn't know if we could get to it, so I like to try to respond to people when we can.
All right, I was just making sure. It's name, image, and likeness, not name, image, and jersey. I have my own battles with Nil, but if guys aren't signing with us because they can't use a UK jersey, then that's not really branding yourself. You're using UK to brand yourself. It's a double-edged sword. Without even reading what you've said, Stephen Peak.
Let's see how close you get.
I would just say, what? It's a partnership. Like, you want to be a partner with them. They are wearing your brand. Let them wear it for their advertisement. It goes one and the same. Why would you not? Why would you be like, all right, you can wear our jerseys on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and you could go win us games. But if it's going to go make you $1 outside of that, no way. That's the bad guy in a movie. That's like a bad corporation. No, don't just let them wear it. You should want your brand out there as much as possible. If they're good enough to represent you on the athletic field and the court, then they should be good enough to represent you, and you should want your brand on their representation out there in the world. It's good for just like the same that you want me, but they probably don't, but just the same that they probably want me to, they don't care if I do or don't, just as a fan. It's why they sell the logo on a hat. So when you go on a vacation and you wear it to the airport, people see UK on your hat. Why would you not want, hey, Mo Diabate's doing a commercial and he's going to wear his UK jersey in the commercial? Hell yeah, that's free advertising.
Why would they
not want it? All right, Pete, what did you say?
Well, I said, first of all, you make a good point, because there's some truth to that it becomes like you're using UK to help brand yourself as the player. But ultimately, if Kentucky is one of the only schools, or I won't say they're the only school, I'm sure other schools have something similar to this. If they're one of the only ones that are requiring that or adding that little stipulation in, that hurts recruiting. I understand why they do it, like I said earlier, if you have a sponsorship, if Kentucky is being sponsored by Pizza Hut, you really don't want your players then using the UK logo to help advertise Papa John's if you're like Pizza Hut, right? So then that might make Pizza Hut be like, all right, well, then what's the point of us paying all this money if they get to advertise with Papa John's also? And you could say, well, we're not advertising Papa John's. Our players are doing Papa John's or Donato's. Donato's was the Reed and Rob one, right? So you don't want, if you're Pizza Hut, you wouldn't want the Kentucky logo being used to also help sell pizzas for a competing pizza chain. So I get that. At the same time, that's still limited, is what I would argue. So, like, if you're the official, if Hunt Brothers Pizza is the official, why do I have to use pizza? I don't know. It's just what I'm stuck on right now. Hunt Brothers Pizza is the official pizza, let's say, of Kentucky Athletics. It's sold in the arena. You get the logo up all over the arena. It's on all the official stuff. So if a player does something with a local pizza joint like Donato's, does it really take away from the advertising dollars that you? If I'm on ESPN, am I only taking Papa John's commercials, or am I going to take Pizza Hut if they want to pay too? Does any other place do this? We're like, no. We already have a pizza place advertising with us. We don't want a second one. So if you are the only school or one of the only schools doing this, then it is a disadvantage because it feels like you're making it harder, even if you're not, by the way. And that's the whole thing. It's not even about what was in the contract or what's in the contract. It's about how what is in the contract is being perceived as by agents and players and the players' families, right? Because whether it prohibits or doesn't prohibit really isn't the issue. It's that they believe that it does, right? And if they believe it, and that might make it to where they go, okay, like that one agent said, I don't care where my guy goes. I just want to make sure they're doing what they say they're going to do, and the agents are there to make their players more money. That's their only role. It's not to realize their dream at playing at a certain school. No, they're there to negotiate the most amount of money that they can for their client. And if it just so happens to line up with the school they want to go to, then that works out great.
Tom Leach should have followed up with Mitch Barnhart and said, why do you think Mark Pope hasn't landed a top 10 guy?
It's been a tough answer.
Since he's been at UK.
Things do happen in recruiting, and I get that, especially when you go after some of the top dogs.
But they really shouldn't happen at Kentucky in the nil era, though.
You're right. If you were given 20, well, they won't get that again, but yeah.
And imagine if John Calipari had $22 million at UK, and let's not even do a hypothetical about it being, well, would it be the good times or the bad times? Let's just say it's the good times. It'd be which number one guy? Are you getting the number one, number two, number three? Are you getting number two, number four, number six? Is it number three, number five? You wouldn't question the nil at UK. So I do think we can get mad at JMI and we can get mad at Barnhart, but I do think a lot of this still does need to come back on Pope's just inability to close. You got to think also where he's losing some of these guys. Missouri has gotten some recruits. There's places where we would certainly say Kentucky's in a better nil situation than these. Now, maybe not. Maybe we're totally wrong about it, but nobody was crying boo just 6 months ago during the construction of this roster, and I know that things now are different. It's not as wild as the West as it was, but I think Pope just needs to be a little bit better himself, and he deserves some blame. Not saying, Pete, that you're saying that he doesn't, but just we're saying that JMI does this and Mitch Barnhart does that. Trust me, I agree, but Pope, just get it done.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that, and I think that's evident with this roster this year. I think if I had to guess at kind of what happened. Okay, when you have, I know we got to go to break. I'll make this real quick. When you have Todd Golden saying basically Denzel Aberdeen couldn't pass up that kind of money, wink, they overpaid. Here's what I think happened. If I just had to guess, there was talk about Kentucky not wanting to get in bidding wars, right? It was like, well, we're Kentucky. Okay, so Axel Lindenberg, we're not going to get in a bidding competition with other schools for you.
That's so dumb. I hate that.
We have other guys we can go get. We're not going to do that. You want to be here. We want you here. We'll pay you. Of course, we'll pay you a lot of money. But we're not going to do this back and forth and just, try to outbid everybody. So you miss on your first group of players. And then the second group of players you start to miss on, and then you start overpaying for your third picks. I think that's kind of what happened with this roster. I think this was a massive, well, I'll be nice. This is a massive learning curve for Mark Pope and everybody else. Okay, we got the money, let's go get the guys. They're not going to love Kentucky right off the bat. And also you're dealing with agents who don't care about, they get to play at Kentucky. They're not interested in that. They don't care. They're there to get their guys the most money. And so, yeah, some of that stuff should matter. Playing in Mark Pope's system should matter. It should be fun. But now you're going to have to do now, TJ, to sell these good shooters on the Mark Pope offense, you're going to have to show them highlights from last season because you're not going to see it this year. And I worried about this all in the offseason as like, okay, well, we didn't get that guy. Well, like you said, it shouldn't be that hard to land guys at Kentucky, especially this past season when you were given as much money as you were given to build this roster. And I think he just ended up having to pay Yaxel Lindenberg money for guys like Denzel Aberdeen, who I like Denzel. I hope that, he leads Kentucky to a lot of wins. And I think with Jalen Lowe back, for as long as Jalen Lowe is back, Denzel Aberdeen does become more effective. But I think you paid top money for not your top picks. And I could be wrong about that. I'm just guessing because clearly Kentucky missed on guys that they wanted, and I don't think that the roster he has right now was the roster of Mark Pope's first picks on his big board.
No, I think you're probably exactly right about that. And if not exactly right, pretty darn close to it. And I understand Kentucky has to protect their partnerships to a certain degree, but be flexible as you can. Don't let something trivial be the difference of a future NBA superstar saying, "Oh, where do I consider home, or where is a big part of my life? The place that I went to college." Don't let like potentially 15 years go to waste just because they wanted to wear a UK hat in a Hunt's Brothers pizza commercial just because Peak has brought them up for a millionth time. And I was pretty mean about them, so I just we'll throw them another bone just because why not? But all right, I just want to be clear. I understand. Like I am not a business major. I'm not a legal expert on rights and trademarks and stuff like that. However, I understand that there is a lot. I did a very, very, very broad stroke. I don't think I'm tricking anybody with that. I understand they have to protect their companies and their contracts and stuff like that. But just be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just figure it out, right? Make it work. That's all. Okay. All right. One final segment. Kentucky Roll Call and your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line here on KRC. Stephen Peak.
Wait a minute. 25 days. Got the lock with the chain at the door. Don't knock. No gifts over here. I don't smell nothing in the air. You can take that over there. And I don't really care. Tell your homeboy in the red suit to chill before I ban him from Hooville. I ain't playing with you.
Sunrise with Scoops.
You got the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Chargers.
since this is Aunt Bethany's 80th Christmas, I think she should lead us in the saying of grace.
Oh, great.
What, dear? Grace! Grace! She passed away 30 years ago.
They want you to say grace. The blessing.
I pledge allegiance
Welcome
to
back.
the flag.
Kentucky Roll
of the
Call here on
United
Big X
States of
Sports
America
Radio. One final
and to
segment.
the republic
You heard them just before we came back. Salsaritas. They've got 3 locations in the area. Middletown. It's got the drive-through St. Matthews. They renovated that interior about a year or 2 ago, and they're out in Shepherdsville, Bullitt County, right off I-65. Download that Salsaritas app and keep them in mind for all your catering needs this holiday season. It is delicious, wildly addictive chips. And if you haven't had lunch today, it's not too late. Or if you don't have your dinner plans, the Grinch is coming to those 3 locations on Friday. I think he's going to start in the morning. I've got to get that pulled up. He's going to start in the morning in Bullitt County, Middletown second around lunch, and then he's going to finish in St. Matthews 3:30 to 5. But we'll double check. Just if you really need to lock in your Grinch times, just maybe come back tomorrow for Kentucky Roll Call. I'll get those figured out for you. Get your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. We're going to read more of your text probably just to wrap up the show, honestly. But Stephen Peak, did you see Pat Kelsey and his coffee back and forth?
I did. That's
where my wife gets her coffee.
Is he upset the guy was wearing a Kentucky shirt too? Was that part of it?
Classic U of L little brother. Yes, he was upset that the coffee guy was wearing a UK shirt. But that Pat Kelsey is unfortunately incredibly likable.
I know, man. I know. Well, I told my Louisville buddies this. I was like, when they hired him, because some people were kind of upset because they set their standards to the moon. It's unbelievable. Like they're like, we're gonna get, we're getting Brad Stevens. Like, oh, okay. And then they get the College of Charleston coach, and they're like poo-pooing it. And I literally told them, like, that guy is high on my list to replace John Calipari. Mark Pope wasn't even near the list, but Pat Kelsey, and I love what he was doing at College of Charleston, and I wanted him at Kentucky. I love Mark Pope. I think ultimately Mark Pope will work out and I honestly think he will do much better than Pat Kelsey will at Louisville. But he's likable. He plays a fun style of basketball. I hate it. I do not like when my rival gets guys that I don't hate. I hate that.
So Pat Kelsey, yesterday, Sunday morning. So they just absolutely put the smack it down on Memphis State. No sweat beating their former rival. Memphis, just if they care about their basketball program, they seem to be stuck in neutral, if not just going in reverse. But he's back at it very early at like 5:40 or whatever time it was on Sunday morning. And he says, "Dear Starbucks on Brownsboro US 42, which is just Brownsboro Road right there before the Waterson, which is just a nightmare spot right now. You've got the 71 traffic. You've got the Brownsboro traffic. You've got the VA hospital that's not finished yet but is getting close. And that is just a tough spot right there. But anyways, Pat Kelsey, he's trying to go to the Starbucks there. That Holiday Manor, that's honestly, it's not probably my exclusive shopping center that I go to, the Holiday Manor Kroger in that area, and all the other spots that are over there. But I go there frequently. So I know this spot that Pat Kelsey's at. He says, are you closing down or are you staying open? It's been a month with no update. Most convenient pre-6 a.m. coffee on way into work. If Heine Bros near there starts opening at 5, I'm yours. Which Heine Brothers is more local than the Starbucks, although I do think the Starbucks are locally owned, although I don't know that for certain, but whatever. Heine Brothers, When you think Louisville coffee, that's one that comes to mind.
Of course.
And that Heine Brothers is right there. I actually got upset at the wife on Friday because I went to go pick up a coffee at that Heine Brothers. She's like, you got to go inside for it. It's got a drive-through, which is great. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll go inside. So I go inside. I ask for her order. They say she must have placed it at another location because we don't have it here. I'm like, my goodness, not again, because she's done that before. So I get back to the car, text her. They don't have it. I'm leaving. She texts back a few minutes later. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't hit submit. It's like, oh, goodness gracious. She's like, but I did. Don't worry. It's just going to be a few minutes. I'm like, oh, no, I've already left. But at that point, I turn around, go back, get the coffee. So this is all hitting very close to home, Stephen Peak. We get an update today from Pat Kelsey. He says, coffee is fire, but I'm all in. We have to have a serious discussion about employee apparel. And he takes Pat Kelsey this morning before 6 a.m. at Heine Brothers, takes a picture, and the fella serving him the coffee, the barista is serving him the coffee in a UK hoodie. Yeah, go Cats, baby.
Woo! Eat it, Kelsey.
Woohoo!
He knows what this is, though, right? Like, he gets it, right? Doesn't he get it? Like, he's self-aware enough, I think, to understand.
Listen, you just let people wear what they want to wear. U of L fans just go absolutely bonkers over the color, the ink color, the dye color in other people's clothing. So what? It's a UK shirt. He cheers for the Cats. You're the U of L coach. Live and let live. I'm joking about this, by the way. Pat Kelsey's actually having fun with it. He took a picture with him.
Can I tell you something Murray State used to do that would drive me kind of crazy? Like,
didn't they get mad about UK logos or something?
They'd find you if you were wearing a Kentucky. It's always Kentucky, by the way. And they would find somebody in the crowd who came to the Murray State game and was pulling for Murray State, but they wore their Kentucky hoodie or whatever, and they would put them on the jumbotron and do a change that shirt, and they would give them like a Murray State shirt to wear, which I guess that's cool. Other than just like shaming them for wearing it, but I just thought like, all right, guys, they're here to pull for Murray State, and obviously Kentucky is the bit. Like, understand what this is. Everybody who's not Kentucky in this state is like they're the secondary school. It just is what it is. I know Pat Kelsey's playing around. He's being fun.
The best thing you can do is have a product that they will say, you know what, I'd rather wear your clothing than this one. What country do we live in? We're forcing shirts onto people. We're telling people that they can't. We're shaming people.
If you want to pull from Murray State's got a good product now, TJ. 115 points on Saturday. They hit a school record 18 threes.
Oh, I would take some of those threes.
Yeah, they have like 3 guys on their team. When I watch all their games, and I'm like, there's three players on this team that can help Kentucky. How many of them are across the country that we just didn't look into that can shoot the ball? No, they're probably not good on defense, but either is some of the guys we got. So that was an eye-opening experience to go to Murray State and watch Isaiah Cannon and Cameron Payne, and then later when I wasn't there, John Morant torch people, and think like, man, there's a lot of good ball players that just fall under the radar. Like, people just don't find them, and they're really, really good. But yeah, no, they're fun to watch, man. They're fun. 115 points. They played in Las Vegas. I'm going to be making the trip there. I was thinking about going down there Thursday. One of their boosters actually called me and said, you got to come down here for a game. We got to show you all the good stuff we're doing. Our AD is awesome. He raised $42 million last year at Murray State. That's amazing. So they're doing big things down there in Western Kentucky.
So we've been doing radio together for a little bit. We're friends though, right?
Yeah,
we can have fun. Like if I said something like just be like playful and
you can hate on me all you want, TJ. I will not be mad.
Because you bring so much more to the table than Roush does.
Right. I mean that's obvious.
But Roush, we could have a little rat for tat, rat.
Absolutely.
Tat,
Let's go for it. What do you got?
I could see you, as the kids would say, if somebody wined and dined you, I could see you simping pretty hard for them. Like if they showed you behind the scenes, I bet you could come back to KRC and just be like, Murray State's they're gonna be knocking down the door on a Final Four.
We're not knocking down the door. What's the line? We're busting in. And we're not taking in anymore. We're not waiting anymore to be champions. We are Mizzou. No, yeah. Well, they're also my alma mater, and I'm going to hype them up whenever I get the chance to.
If you're Murray State, to show Peak a good time, because I bet he will.
Absolutely, man.
And I'm the same way.
I'm a sellout. You just got to look. If JMI wants to show me around and give me some more access, I'll blaze JMI.
At the Murray State, did you offer to bring in your camera to him?
No, I didn't offer, but I think it's implied that we'll give you a tour of some stuff, and I think it was like we can get some coverage.
No, this is if they
quid pro. I don't know.
No.
Quid pro bro.
No, they just want you as a proud alum to just have to be able to enjoy and see.
They said this is what one of the guys said. We miss you in the athletic department, and I was like, there's one person in that athletic department, and it's you, and you're the only one who's been there since I left. So I don't think that's true. I think no one else knows who I am. But no, it was really nice. Like I said, I talked to one of the boosters I used to chat with when I was there, and then the SID for basketball. Good people down there in Murray, TJ. I can't say enough nice things.
Take them up on the tour, though.
I will. If I can't make it there for I think they play Drake on Thursday. I'm gonna go. I think in January when they play Illinois State, because I'll be making my trip back home from Nashville after seeing Kentucky beat Vanderbilt. So then I'll sweep by Murray for a 9:00 tip-off in Callaway County. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Callaway County, great this time.
We did the Murray State-Kentucky comparison. This is like one of the first years where they're just not at all the same.
Not yet.
Not yet. But, TJ, I was during the break, I was going through Kentucky's shooting numbers. Do you want to know I went through every player against the do not suck teams. That's 5 games. Kentucky is 30 for 123 from 3. That's 24%. Do you know who the best shooter is, percentage-wise? Well, it's Brandon Garrison. But anybody who shot over 10 threes in any of these games, you want to take a guess?
Otega?
It is Otega Owe. He's shooting 38% from 3.
That's okay.
In the games
that's all right. I can live with that with Otega.
So there are times when he's open in the corner, which on catch and shoot from the corner, he's shooting almost 40%. Did you know that? For the season, not just against the bad teams. Not just against the good teams. So pass him the ball, drive and kick. Why are we not doing that this year? Driving and kicking. We did that so well last season. You got it. I think people just have in their head Otega just can't shoot because his shot looks so ugly. But when you go through the numbers on catch and shoot, he's really effective. Any thoughts?
Well, no, I feel like you've been banging that drum for weeks now.
Yeah.
That, in the right situation, Otega Owe is exactly what he is as a shooter, and it's pretty solid. It's just when you try to get him to do too much or it's not just kind of catch and shoot. I'm right there. I was reading a couple texts and seeing what we've got there. Try to get these in here before the end of the commercial break. But, yeah, that is interesting. I like it that you label it as just the don't suck games.
Yeah. And then you have Trent Noah. So you have 3 guys who I thought would be effective shooters for this team this season. Trent Noah, Andrea Yelovich, Jalen Lowe. They are a combined 3 for 26 from 3 in these games, and that is 12%.
That's bad.
So that's not good.
No, that's not going to get it done.
No. Here's the thing, TJ. I know I keep beating this drum about 3-point shooting. It being 24% against the good teams tells me that you can't do that forever. So the progression to the mean is going to be fun, right? Because now they're going to get to where I would imagine they're probably realistically like a 32 to 33% shooting team. To get up to 9 points, that means we're going to see a lot of shots go in soon, right?
I'm expecting them to make around 4 to 6 3-pointers a game, and anything above that will just be the gravy train. They're a bad 3-point shooting team.
This could be one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the history of everything.
It's bad.
For Kentucky.
Kirby says, so do you think that Mitch is once again trying to do better for all instead of the 2 big programs with JMI? sounds similar to Coach Cal trying to self-fund a facility just to be told to wait in line for women's lacrosse. It does seem like this is – that's a little hyperbole there, Kirby, but I get the
But we get it, yeah.
I do think that this is just easier. It makes it all just a little bit more uniform. But they're not dumb at the athletic department. They know that football's got to be in a position to win or at least exceed expectations because that's where the money's at. And then right behind football is basketball, and there is a tradition standard to go with basketball. They're not, as much as we get frustrated by this, that, or the other, they're not dummies over there. So I do think that this kind of makes it easier for all programs, and I do think that there are some things they've got to iron out with the tippy top at both of the money-making sports. But they know what they're doing. It's fun to crush them. I've got my issues with them. I don't, stop telling us that you all are accessible and you're doing all these interviews and whatnot. But I do think UK athletics as a whole is okay. It's not a code brown, as we call it in the parenting world.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, everything else seems to be doing fine. And Kentucky basketball has historically been great. They will be great. It will be great again. I mean, they'll figure it out. Somebody will figure it out. There's too much passion around this program for it to never get back to getting to Final Fours and winning championships again.
My brother got Mark Pope to sign his VHS tape of the 96 championship game. That's pretty sweet. That's very cool, as a matter of fact. Another texter says on the text line, did you see that you need to get into the Louisville-Toledo bowl game as a can of beans? If there were ever any doubt that we can confirm that it's going to be a stinker of a bowl game, that confirms it. That's Ryan from Freedom Hall. That's hilarious. I did see that. It's actually the first 2,000 fans get in for a can of beans for what it's worth, but that's going to be an issue.
That's pretty funny.
All right, there's a couple texts we didn't get into. We'll try to save those for tomorrow. One texter says it's clear the offense is still a mess. It is, but maybe with Jalen Lowe it can help. Okay, Monday Night Football tonight. Your Dolphins, Stephen Peak.
Woo! We're on a roll, baby.
Good luck to you.
We are doing just good enough to not get a good draft pick and not make the playoffs. It's going to be fun.
Only like 3-point dogs or something like that. You never know.
Oh, they're winning.
All right, everybody have a great Monday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow at noon. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only a hippopotamus will do. No crocodiles, no rhinoceroses. I only like hippopotamus.
The Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WX.